Hi, everyone. Welcome to Read Write Library. This is my website for a school district or for anything that I want to add on to any kind of Alexandria or library platform. I'm really excited to be able to do that. I think that a lot of the material that is in here could be inserted and embedded directly into book checkouts and curriculum or tie into programs for teachers. And so it would be a whole lot of fun to do that. I've shared my learning session mission, my links to Alexandria, Overdrive, STEM activities, curriculum helpers, as well as sharing my mission. I've organized a little bit of a quick symboloo about great research helpers, and then also connected research resources, but I've dedicated a whole page to that as well. I'm also sharing books that I've helped to the bookshelf as an author illustrator, as a literary agent who worked on the editorial side. So I a lot of times just coached and pushed the artist or author to publish. So these are a few of the books that I've worked on. And so when you go to the research panel, my goal was to give you a lot of research helpers. FossilWorks was one that was important for me to include here, along with ScienceGov and Smithsonian. I think they've been a great aid to me. National Geographic are just some of the ones that I've used in my own research, and I know authors use them all the time. For citation helpers, I have included MLA in both APA for OWL Purdue, because I think they're the most helpful. Biblionasium and EasyBib, Noodle Tools are ones that I like, but I really like to stress the idea that, if you use a pure journal, the citations are right there. And so not only do you have the best resources, you have the peer-reviewed journal, which is fantastic. So again, my Symbaloo just as another place to find it. I'm working on my Pathfinder. I chose to work on sharks because I did my shark book with Scholastic and Dino Sharks. And so what I wanted to do was share some of the resources and the way I did that, as well as come up with really cool activities that I could find online that would relate and go along with that text. So here are some of the overviews of prehistoric sharks that I first looked at when I was given like a month to do this project. So I thought it was pretty fun to come up with, this is how we went about it, so to speak. And then I went through and I'm actually giving you some of the specific sharks that we've looked at. Helicoprion or Helicopron is one that I focus on for schools and when I'm working with kids. And so I wanted to highlight that a little bit differently. I'm including a webcam just so you can actually see sharks swimming, but at random times, which is pretty fun. An activity that I've done with many classes with the Helicopron information. And then actually just an Explore Shark Today reading group. I love working in groups with kids. And so each group would actually answer a research question. How do we avoid shark attacks? And then their group would come back and report to the rest of the group. And I think it's just a really cool way to use research to get kids involved in better and kind of formulate that better understanding. I've done these kind of activities as a blog. So what you see here is me kind of starting that section of that site. I also wanted to make sure that K through 6, as well as, the middle school and the YA library are represented here. So I'm showing you some of the new books that went into an elementary library that I had the benefit of working with. And so I'm showing you those as well as some of the read alouds and author reads that are available to us thanks to COVID catastrophes. The publisher has released permissions to record and share some of these things. So I wanted to be able to put them on a website where teachers can actually just click and then bring up the recording, which is really, really fun. I wanted to push myself to do a little bit more on the nonfiction side because informational books are really informative and really inspiring kids today to like hone into improving reading and improving comprehension. And they're just like little sponges when it comes to absorbing information at those early ages. So that page is really important. We also have literary resources. So if there's something that, you know, like if COVID would send us into online activities, a lot of these can be sent home. And, you know, later today, try to draw every day with JJK, or, you know, it's just an easy linkable thing for teachers to do. It's also another 15-minute maybe pause in the day that you can actually talk about white space or the page or poetry with somebody who's very prolific at doing those things. So I shared some of my favorite things. Again, this shark can, and then I do have a lot of Dear Editor challenges that I'm going to be adding to this. I think that then we move into the teen and YA reads, and this has been really fun. I actually have a list of about 95 books because we are working with individualized reading for 95 students in the 7th grade level this year. And so I thought it would be fun to clock, you know, who is reading what, did they like it? Was it something that they could stay with? And so you'll see that I'm adding questions that we asked. This was we only read like the first chapter of Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan, but kids really comprehended it well. So I thought, well, why not like make that a resource? Maybe they can read the book and then just challenge themselves on the side, or teachers can put it into their curriculum. It would just be a way to help teachers again. And so you'll see some of my connections in that regard. It's still in the works, but we're getting there. And so what's really fun is to see these reader reviews because they're really done by kids who have read the book. And so that's exciting. So we have reading recommendations. A lot of these are books that went over really well. These are books that I've always used with different people. And so that list is going to grow. And then we have reader reviews. And this is what I'm talking about the most, is that I have a lot of feedback for those 95 books that we read with students. And it was interesting to see who would complete the book, how excited they were about the book. So, and even the warnings they gave us, like this one for Dead Voices, they're giving us a little ghosty and saying, oh, it might be a touch too scary for some kids to read. So it's fun to see them come out and be the kind of the host of their own book event, so to speak. So again, all names are pulled off of this, but it is their work with permissions, and they've had that discussion, which is really important that they understand those things. And then there's other activities through here. We also did, then we did a little bit more with this with a specific book as well. Writing prompts is one that was really important for me to include because I had a lot of fun doing this with kids, and that we actually just hand out cards 1 through 24, or however many kids are in the room, and I have like a little PowerPoint that flips through and gives you a writing prompt based on a book cover. So like, for instance, Trapped as a Tiger. So it kind of flips it. When you trap a tiger, the Newbery becomes, what will you do when you find yourself in Lily's tiger trap? And what does it look like? And who is there? And how will you escape? So it's just fun things. Or like the old Newbery, the Hello Universe, a former Newbery. And so while you're walking in the forest, whoosh, you sink into a deep, dark pit, and all you have is a backpack, a beverage, and your guinea pig, no cell phone. And so that is the actual reality for that main character. And it is a book told in 3 voices, however, but if we focus on the one main character, that like pulls out those ideas and gives kids the challenge. The Girl Who Drank a Moon is just a book that I really adore. And so we're just asking the question, what would you do if your mom had a beautiful new baby girl, your curly haired sister, and you learn a witch has taken her? What would you ever see her again? And so it goes on and on. And so this makes for a really fun game. And so we just encourage kids to like lighten up and just write to the bottom of the page for some kind of treat on a Friday. And it's just another thing that teachers can pull from and get excited about. The other thing we did is for all of the essay writing, is we really did take it like a step further, and we created a budget to gift Amazon cards for those who wrote the best essays or the best papers. And so that was a lot of fun. So here we're just featuring those papers. Here's the ones that had done the best, and they're featured by initials just for privacy concerns. And then we also had a lot of people write papers that were just shy of the, but we're just worth highlighting and giving that honor to. Great. And if you see like some of the concepts, bitter jealousy, I mean, it's really fun, like what the kids have come up with. And so these were all written as myth papers for this example, which is pretty exciting stuff. And it just gave kids that opportunity to just be a little more out there with their work and feel like it was a little bit more of an experience level of like what you experience in a contest as a professional writer. And so then we move on to the book discussions. And I think that this is a series of books that I've done with the class this year. And so we actually looked at Long Way Down at the very beginning of this school year, and we focused on plot and understanding plot and how to identify it within the novel. And the reason Long Way Down is so ideal is because while the plot is moving down in the floors of an elevator, we actually are on the rising action of the plot. And so kids really can understand and comprehend, and it's memorable how plot works in a novel. And so that was pretty exciting. We looked at The Bridge Home, Song for Whale, and a few others, and then Drowned City. So these lead to other discussion points. And I just really want this to be more engaging and interactive. And then we really we expanded each of these. So there should be a link that will eventually be for each book, and it just takes it to a higher level so that kids can really explore the book more fully and look at those things that they might want more information about, or to really delve deeply into the book or compare it to another text, or think connection to self, and use those kind of prompts as a connection overall to a book. The one that we really focused on too was all 13, and we have a whole page about this one. And so we really wanted readers to explore a nonfiction text along with all the fiction writing that we were doing. And since this one had won so many awards this year, I thought we really have to take a look at it and see why it did so well. Webinars and events are something that I've done for years. And so this is my business kid at college from 2015, 2018, 19, right in there. I'm not doing so much with it now besides maybe critiquing people's work, but it was like over 160 webinar and events for authors and illustrators that we've presented, along with one-on-one critiques with editors and literary agents and publishing professionals. So it was pretty fun. All the Bright Places was just another book that we explored. So we were looking at this. This is one that I actually took time out to take a one-on-one discussion with the other teens, about 5 teens that were also reading this story. So, and what they thought about it. And so, and then I'm giving a recommendation list for other people. So Ordinary Hazards is a book as well that we delved into, but this gave me the opportunity to really focus in on poetry. It's my belief that poetry is really that ultimate connection to good writing, when you can get kids to connect and just release and think about the sound of words and meaning and how they merge with what they're trying to do in a manuscript. I think that you really elevate where they can go with their work. And so this is such an important page. And so I want to do a lot more with this, but for one example, it does give them an opportunity to look at all of the different types of poems that are out there and authors, and kind of do those little mini study and comparison on their own about that. We looked at the 57 bus, looking at the LGBTQ community, and just what it means to be gender neutral, and those kind of identity issues. And so exploring how the narrative was created, and maybe comparing, contrasting it to other texts, which we do at one point. And so it actually, and thinking about the structure of a book. And so on this page, we really look at structure a little bit more. A story told in elevator floors, a story told with 3 voices, a story told with prose and really top quality voice, and Poet X, free verse versus journal style. And so that was really fun. All 13 is a nonfiction book that the kids had a blast looking at. I think it was really exciting to see. I'm sharing author videos here, and they actually went out and researched other articles. And so this is their work about what more they've learned. And if we talk about flipped classrooms and we talk about flipped narratives, we really have the opportunity here. And what was really exciting about this project was, by the time they were done reading the nonfiction book and looking at going out and being the journalist, and reading other important articles about this activity, they really became like their own a little expert on this topic. And so we did games with it. And so I'm just sharing a lot of those things. I'm also giving you an idea of what more, like the classes that I did with Kidlit College, and having bigger discussions with that. And this just talks about students as reference gurus. We actually gave a Newsela article at the very end of this project, and the kids just already knew like what was the right answer, and they would rule it out based on other resources, not just the Newsela article, which was totally fun to experience. I think it would just prove to them that research does matter. And so that was super cool in itself. We looked at adult and crossover books. I do have a few teens that are really excited to read the Crawdads thing. I also have had a principal this year that was like, no, that's not an appropriate text. And so how do we balance those concerns in the library? And so this led to, should books be banned, and other discussions. And at the same time, of course, we know Dr. Seuss was out in the marketplace, and he was having a few books banned because of the racial bias concerns that we're experiencing right now. And so it opens up a lot of those conversations that are important conversations to have. And so another online discussions that I've had about award-winning books, and since we have so many of them featured on the site, was understanding the ALA award categories. Some people don't realize that some of the awards cannot even be awarded if there's a foreign illustrator, for example. So this kind of actually Allison Moore, a Bloomsbury editor, kind of talked us through the whole series of youth media awards and why books really stood out, which was really fun. And it would be something that, given her permissions, I would be happy to share with on a platform, which would be great. I also looked at contemporary versus classics and how to improve reading. And what's been really kind of eye-opening to me was that a lot of schools are using resources because they're available, not because they're the best resource to use. And that raises a huge concern for me, coming from Kidlit on a number of levels, because number one, I want them to be reading the most current text, because we can learn a lot, and writing changes so quickly. And in the last 5 years, we've seen graphic novels grow, and we've seen these hybrid creations, and we've seen really punchy, playful projects, and such beautiful real stories being created that are narrative nonfiction versus that straight resource nonfiction. And how are we going to highlight this, and how are we going to bring them out, and how do we get kids to get excited about that? But how do we allow the admin at a school district to realize that these are the exact books that kids should be reading, and it's worth the extra budget and funding to get it approved. And so I'd really like to see a lot more happen with that. The last thing on this website is the librarian portfolio. And I have started that basically because I had that great opportunity to redesign a library last year, and I had so much fun doing it that was what led to me wanting to focus on this. Is that, we did the very top picture here is all chapter books, and there were not chapter books in this library. They were all housed under fiction. And so what we were having is a lot of teachers coming in and saying, what's the reading level of this? And, where are all these dots on the spine? And, it's like not a very savvy thing to do, is like put a dot that shows the students peers, like what reading level they're at. That's not why, and that's not our goal in allowing and furthering library science. So publishing, thank goodness, has really already designated those categories. So I kind of merged my publishing background with my reading and library. And so we went with easy reader stories, and we pulled out all the chapter books, and we actually reconfigured the Dewey so that, or the classification, so they go by series names. So if you're looking for a title and it is a series, you're going to look under the title name versus the author's last name. And this was like, it took care of, like, Jake Maddox was written by a number of authors. And so it would be scattered all over the library. And now it's housed in one spot. So if somebody's really into sports, and we love those little third graders who are, they have two different levels of those books, and they're housed in two different places because of the reading level, and they just naturally flow. And so it's a great thing. We also have the easy readers that we pulled from the reference section so that they could be housed, because these are the books that are written by the line for those struggling readers. And so now we automatically are feeding into improving reading throughout the building, which is fabulous. This last picture is, you see our fiction section in the background, and then right up here in this lower case were old carts that we tipped sideways, and we made them new shelving for graphic novels so that we could pull them out of the 741 section and really feature them both in regular fiction and nonfiction. And so we speak to diverse, and I just go through and give you a lot of my kind of my reference material, what I did to reorganize the library and that sort of thing, my work as a reading specialist, and those things, and why we did what we did. And so, as well as some of my work with other programs. So this was my last section, and it's like use print and digital sources. And then I head into my prehistoric shark material. And then there's like things about copyright. And so I just want this to be like a site that we can really kind of help teachers teach little 15, maybe 10, 15-minute segments using a platform. And so the last thing that I really want to add to this is a section where there's actual little mini courses. So they can either send kids there to do a little listen and Q&A or whatever, but I think it would just be a lot of different topics. And I'd also like to do the same thing with the books, like read a book and then take a little mini questionnaire about it. So did that child read the book? Absolutely. We've been doing that for years, but it would be really convenient if it was right off the library platforms. And so I'm not really certain how that works or what that is, but it's one of my goals. The other goal is to like really make sure that PDFs and current books are available to teachers. I did have the desire to like use a current text, and it was not available. And so then I finally found it on an online source where I could purchase the program and then have access to the book, which was a fabulous way to get around not having to order $300 and $600 worth of books. But there has to be some kind of better way. And so I'd like to open those conversations with publishers and really kind of do some good in a library, a school library, because I did enjoy so much of that. So that's my library website in a nutshell. And thanks for your time. Bye.